Welcome everybody to the SEO Vault. This is episode 225. My name is Mike, your host today, joined by Sophie and our good friend Alex. Glad to have you both. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good. How are you, Sophie? You good? You doing well? Doing great. Awesome. So today we are going to be kind of moving into a new setup for the SEO Vault. I know in the past we spent a lot of time focusing on SEO news. We will still have some Web 20 ranker updates and letting you know about what's going on in there, but we are going to be focusing a lot more on our tests. So not just tests, but what we're seeing, what we're testing currently, how it's lining up with recent updates we're seeing. So not just going to sit here and tell you every week that the industry's talking about an SEO update, but we're going to tell you if we're seeing anything specifically with our data as it relates to tests and things like that. So we can start to really break down and figure out what's going on in the SEO industry on the SEO Vault. So with that, I guess we'll jump right into it today. Sophie, Alex, I know you're doing well. Are you excited for the new SEO Vault, where we unlock the vault and unleash the SEO test secrets?
Heck yeah.
Are you reading all the potential names we had from the past? Because all those words were included in the new names.
I know, and honestly, I think it's where the SEO Vault originally came from. Like, the idea was never, come join us on the SEO Vault where we unlock the vault and tell you the SEO news this week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we do a ton of tests all year round, and we've been talking more and more on the vault, but I think we also tried to keep some of that stuff a little more secret, right? Because we send out the details every week in like full detail review on the email list, but we got so many different, well, especially now. I know Mark recently ran a test a few weeks back that I've been watching and looking at some more, which we might do an update on, the proximity, local proximity test. I think you saw that, right, Sophie? That he was playing with YouTube and stuff.
He didn't say much about what he was testing, but he was dropping the grids, showing there was a little movement, but not much. What did he do in those?
So yeah, one thing that we're doing at the SEO Vault or SEO Mad Scientist too isn't just testing arbitrary things, but specifically that was taken from a training. It was a training course that Mark took the strategy from and implemented it. It was a strategy that I know I've never tried before. I haven't seen anyone really talk about. I've seen similar things in the past with cross-linking and Google stacking and YouTube and things, but taking the exact strategy from this training, implementing it, seeing what kind of result we got, and essentially the goal is to, like a lot of times we see where you're ranking in one location and you want to rank like over here on the other side of the map, and you'll get like the grid expanding slowly outwards, but the question is like, how do you get here? How does Google find you relevant here? And that's really what that test was about, is trying to get that, not the grid necessarily to just move out, but to literally get you these rankings in surrounding areas and make you more relevant in those areas.
Data point, the
by
check-ins
Google
with
algorithm.
The data point?
The what?
Was he using the check-ins with the data points?
Check-ins with the data points? I don't believe so, Alex, just because I don't know what that means. He might have, though.
The what is it? The booster or Geo Booster?
He was creating a bunch of videos. Is that what you're talking about?
No. Yeah, it was using YouTube
videos, and then on a different channels he was posting them and he was talking about the local aspect.
It wasn't different channels. I mean, it could have been, but it was essentially just interlinking and cross-linking with the GMB on YouTube and setting up YouTube channels that way. And not only
that's
that,
leveraging the YouTube indexing API,
right? So, yeah, Mark was speculating that he thinks YouTube is kind of the special sauce there. which is also why I've been working on some additional tests where I'm going to recreate the structure, but using things like WordPress.com and blogs and Tumblr and what's the other one?
Web2s.
Dailymotion, another
Yeah.
video site. Because I do kind of speculate that it's not just YouTube. If the reason this is working the way they claim it's working, then it can't just be YouTube. It can't be. Because everything that is being done with YouTube, I've done with YouTube before, but not the way they're doing it exactly. So YouTube could be a heavy hitter part of this, but it's definitely not. It would be the type of linking and cross-linking and referencing they're doing in these YouTube videos and the way they're structuring their YouTube channel, which can be structured the same way with a blog or a PBN or any of these other video sites, really. So it'll be not only interesting to see if it works, which we have seen a result. It's hard, not enough with one test currently to say this is why it worked. Yeah, but I mean, we had no rankings. He did the test, and within 2 days, or like 2 days later, it started showing some results, and we continue to see some kind of movement there. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's definitely I think the first step to say, okay, we might have something here. Let's throw another one up and test it again. And then if we still see another result with that, we'll probably continue on with another test, same thing, and continue on again with the expansion where we'll be tying in other video sites and things like that. And it's very similar to the type of stuff that we saw way back in the day, like I said, with Google Stacks, and even our bioentity stack now is kind of the same thing. But if we run the bioentity stack the way we normally do, but integrate this linking method that we're testing, that itself could have drastic improvements as well. So
he's definitely seeing more movement. I just logged into the local Viking account.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about doing an update about that test soon, just because we're seeing something. We could talk about it easily.
And it's not in a small city. I mean, it's not in a small city.
No, and it would have been nice if it was like a tiny little city, like Hanover or something, because then you can really see the impacts better, right? Like you don't want to test.
That's harder to extrapolate the data though, because most people are not located in a tiny town like that.
Well, no, because you're looking at the geogrids and the terms that you're referencing within the test and whatnot, not necessarily the people. So, like, if you're in, like, for actually the better example would be if you are in between Hanover and, what's the town that's by Hanover? Another little town.
York?
Yeah, not York. That's not little. What's the other one?
No.
It's been a while since I've been in Hanover. But there's like 3 or 4 little towns around there that are like 30 minutes apart. If you had a business right in the middle of every single one of those, and you were testing things to try and get your business to show within those towns, so not being in the center, but the goal is to be within the towns, how do you make that possible? So yeah, you might, and generally, like I said, we'll see things where grids will start from the middle and slowly radiate out as you build more authority, trust, relevance. Businesses go out of business, come back up, new listings, old listings, penalizations, updates, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what specific thing can we see that is driving that grid, that relevance outwards? What is the anchor text of local for a geographical area, right? Like, what is a thing that is actually making that happen? That's why we want to test. Because we can do a bunch of stuff, and we do a bunch of stuff. But, I mean, I can't definitively say that driving directions makes your GeoGrid expand in that specific direction. I could say driving directions and doing that in a strategic way and referencing the locations and cities and NAP, that produces a result where we see, node ranking increase and things expand further. But like if I'm located here and I don't care about ranking anywhere here, but I want to go this way, how do I tell Google that I am relevant this way? And obviously proximity is a big part of that. So Google's always going to figure in proximity. So there's kind of always going to be this radius effect. But what can we tell it, right? What's the anchor text of local? I guess is what we're trying to figure out.
Very cool.
Do you know if this was a new listing or if it just didn't have rankings?
That's a good question. I believe it was newer, but I don't think Mark made it that day. Like they got a bunch of listings.
Yeah.
We got a ton of, actually I got 7 or 8 right now too that that I'm using for tests and whatnot. So it probably wasn't made yesterday.
But that's probably a good thing because
that probably is a good thing.
Aren't going to have a brand new listing anyways. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's tricky too, because that's a good point, is when testing, you definitely don't want to use a brand new listing, because you can put up listings and they can sit and age and Google will start figuring things out and testing things. Also, you don't want to test on the listing with a keyword in the brand name. Well, you could test on a listing with the keyword in the brand name, provided that the keyword you're testing isn't the one in the brand name.
You had tests like that where you would say, well, now I'm going back through all for the library. It'd be like, these tests are inconclusive because target keyword is in brand name and service and domain name.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if your brand name contains a keyword, that makes any test inconclusive, because now you're dealing with brand authority that can't be replicated in any campaign.
It's completely different, yeah.
So I mean, it's not inconclusive. It's relevant. It might be we can conclude that having the keyword in your brand name combined with this aspect produces the result. But I can't say doing this without the keyword in your brand name produces a result. Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I say those are inconclusive, and it's honestly the biggest issue I've seen with testing our industry is the conclusions. Not even so much, it's the conclusions people draw, They don't look deep enough.
A lot of people did not learn that correlation does not equal causation in school.
What is that? Middle school?
I mean, it should be. That should be kindergarten.
Yeah, well, we won't get into all that.
I'm trying to think when I learned that.
I learned that from my dad, not from school. My dad is a big health nut and would read all these experiments and studies they do on vitamins and stuff.
I went to a damn good school, I'm realizing, because I did learn about correlation versus causation in school, and we learned about it with charts. I remember even looking at charts. This had to have been junior high, yeah. This is this had to have been freshman, not junior high. This had to have been after 8th grade. Yeah, this was in high school.
Oh.
I learned about correlation and causation in high school. I had home ec in high school. Apparently that's not a thing in a lot of places.
We had that at my school.
That's not a thing anymore?
I mean, well, I hear people complaining about kids not learning how to cook and clean in school and shit.
Well, but that's an elective. You have to choose. You have to choose.
No, it wasn't an elective. You had to take the basic home ec. There was other home ecs you could take after that in my junior high.
We're showing our age, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Maybe our first one was required. But I took every cooking class you could because we had block days. So for 2.5 hours, we'd just cook and then eat all the food we made.
Things are really starting to make sense to me now, because you know what we didn't have is auto shop. I did not get to learn how to work on a car. So now I'm starting to understand a little more about myself, taking home ec and not having auto shop.
There you go.
That's why I became an SEO.
Do you think you would have become a mechanic otherwise? Could you have let?
I mean, honestly, I used to love labor work. I used to love feeling like I got a good workout and made money that day. Like, that was probably why UPS used to be my favorite job. But then I found out you could make a lot of money and not do physical labor, and then I really enjoyed doing that. So,
that's the way to go.
It has its it's you gotta pick your evils, I guess.
Brains over brawn, right?
Yeah, I used to be a lot more physical, but now I'm physical. That's right. Showing our age again, Alex.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of age, I'm literally sitting on this couch here because I threw out my back over a week ago. So I'm not working at a desk because my desk chair is not comfortable enough currently.
I'm sure that's helping your productivity.
Oh, God, no. It definitely isn't. But I'm honestly being more focused. Because I am being very aware when I am sitting and working. Like, I don't want to just sit there and stare at a blank screen. I need to be thinking and focusing on something intensely.
So does that mean that you normally stare at a blank screen?
Well, I mean, I could sit there and look at something, and then I'll be thinking about it, and then maybe my brain will wander, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I got to do that, or there's that thing, But now it's like I'm sitting here and I feel pain and I need to get done what I need to get done so I can go rest my back for a little bit and then come back and work for like another 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, that's
This is not what I want to hear on my 30th birthday, Mike. You're scaring me.
You're 30?
It's all downhill from here, Sophie.
Jeez. Yeah, I'll be 38 in a couple months. I'm getting close to 40 now. It's okay, Sophie. 40's the new 30 is what I hear.
Oh, I don't care about that.
That means you're in the new
like
20.
It's more my knees hurt.
Yeah, that's where it all starts, Sophie.
That's why I told you to start doing Pilates. It's been helping with the elasticity in my joints and stuff.
Pilates actually is probably something I could use with my core strength. That's going to be a big initiative.
It made me realize how bad my core strength is, and I've had back problems my whole life.
Sophie, all I need to do is walk up a flight of stairs, and I realize how bad all my strength is. So, doing Pilates would probably just make me want to die at this point.
Well, it's even worse because you're like standing next to a woman who's 65 and is like killing it, and you're just like,
Sophie, if I ever do Pilates, it'll be in the safety of my own home where no one sees me and I am completely secure with all my insecurities. I couldn't imagine going somewhere and being around a bunch of fit people and working out. Like, I mean, I used to go to the gym, and I used to, like, it took a little bit. You eventually get in shape, and you don't feel like you're dying after 5 minutes on the treadmill and you get embarrassed. But, like, I couldn't imagine doing something like Pilates or yoga. Like, I would just fall over.
So yoga is a lot of like young fit people, but I will say Pilates, when I go to Pilates, a lot of it is elderly people who, because it's low impact, so they can do a lot of strength training without the weight of gravity.
I'd feel better around a bunch of fit old people than around a bunch of fit young people, Sophie.
No,
just
I watched
to be
a guy
honest.
in the gym this morning, PR, like double my PR. And he's like 70. And I was like, now I just feel real good about myself.
Well, yeah, but that's different. You're healthy, Alex. I'm not. So you're trying to be healthy. He's like, he's already achieved what you're trying to achieve. If I see an old person healthy, it gives me hope. It tells me that I could be healthy at that. I could be healthier at that age than I am right now. That's a message
Yeah,
of
but you
hope
have
for
to do
me,
the work
Alex.
now,
Look at the end of the
Mike. You
tunnel.
have to do the work now. You
That's
do
what
the
I'm
work
saying. So
now.
I could do the work now. Alex, he's been doing the work for a while now, but he's been wasting his time doing the work. He could have started now and had his healthy 70s. I had a couple decades of being a degenerate and destroying my body, and I still could have the dream, right? That's what I'm saying. I've heard the
There's
stories. The
There's
message
hope.
of hope. It's never too late,
It's
but it can
not.
be too early.
No, it's never too early. Never too early. Don't spread that message, Mike. Don't spread that message to the world.
Start getting
It's-
Mike up
it's-
at 4:30 a.m. with me.
Oh man. You know, like I said, I used to be the 4 or 5 o'clock a.m. person in the morning. I used to be like the sooner you get up, sooner you can start your day, and the more you get done. Like I would love start like
Then
if
it
I
all
if,
went
if
out
I
the
could.
window.
Yeah, well, you get up and start work at 5, 6 a.m. every day for many years, and then you realize you don't have to do that. You're like, oh man, then I guess I won't do that anymore
I
if
go
I
to bed
don't
early
have
though.
to.
I'm
That's the
like
thing
all
too,
these
though.
cool kids.
You
I'm in bed
also
by
have a
9.
position where you can, yeah. Now, if you were like a mason or something, work until like sundown, 9 p.m., and you had to be up then at 6 a.m. and doing like hard labor all day. See, when I was working hard, that's what I was doing too. So now maybe I could do better, right?
There you
Now
go.
that I'm
There you go.
lazy, I could get up
You can
and be
always
lazy
do
instead
better,
of get
Mike.
up and working hard. Well, I always do better, but at what expense? Sacrifice the time, the sleep,
It's all about that hope
the
that body
friends, the
could
family, the
have.
food.
Well, it's short-term time expense now to work out, but how much time would you lose down the line if you throw out your knee or
Time
waiting
isn't an expense.
off?
Time isn't what's lost though. It's what you do with that time that's lost. So losing time means losing family, friends, money, health. Anything that can be done with that time is lost. So that's my argument, Sophie. You don't just lose
Sounds like a
time,
bunch
you
of
lose
excuses.
everything.
Sophie's calling you out, Mike.
What was that, Sophie? I didn't catch it.
It sounds like a bunch of excuses.
That's what you would say when you don't have any excuses, Sophie.
Yeah.
You could be my mentor, my life coach.
She's got one little
No.
fuzzy excuse.
I don't need to be a life coach. No.
I mean,
I'm
you and
not
Alex kind
good
of are my
at it.
life coaches. I get up every day. You remind me of how important I am to the company and what I need to be doing, what's required of
Keep
me,
you on task.
and that I'm capable of doing it even though I haven't yet, and you trust that I'm going to because I'm capable. And you've been asking me for this thing for 5 weeks, but I'm going to get it to you today because you believe in me. So, again, the message of hope. Stay strong.
Message of hope.
Yeah. I'm good at
There's
that.
so much. Yeah, I mean, but there's so much going on now. It's impossible to keep it all in line. What other tests we got we want to talk about? Sorry, I'm just rambling.
What test did you set up with those new properties that Mark passed on to you like a month ago?
So there's a schema test. There's one. I wanted to get more done, but I haven't gotten them up yet. So, you could call it advanced schema test. I would rather call it marking up everything that's relevant to what's relevant. Like if you
I need to work on that title.
Yeah, right. We're working on the test title, okay? Yeah, so I mean essentially like if you are selling roof replacement, marking up everything that is relevant to roof replacement as a hierarchy or like, from roofing to replacement to materials used for roof replacement to pricing used for pictures, before and after pictures, and then marking up all those things with very detailed descriptions with keywords, and literally just like if you are taking a term building a schema markup for it that includes everything about that term, FAQs that relate to that thing that the page is about, right? And there's some really good training out there that talks about kind of building this knowledge graph with your schema, and communicating relevance. But really,
Well,
if
what you're
it
talking
is,
about more is topical, like a topical relevancy, right?
yeah,
Your schema.
like a topical relevant, yeah. It's the age-old argument of LSI keywords and related keywords, but yes, you have kind of this hierarchy bucket of a niche or service or thing, and then there's all these objects and descriptors and colors and facts and before and after, all these things that relate to that main thing, that these things define the main thing, right? Like if you go look at a Wikipedia page, that's essentially the way the Wikipedia page is set up, where there's like the thing, and then there's like history, and then there's like, facts or tests or, current news or whatever.
With that schema test, Mike, are you doing anything with like entities inside of that? Or is it purely topical?
I don't know what you mean by. Can you do anything in SEO without entities? Would be my question.
Well, I didn't know if you were specifically like targeting like entity injection in that or not.
I mean, I am targeting taking relevant entities to the term based on online data, Wikipedia, other things. But I have a problem with terms like that, just because what's an entity? A noun, a keyword, a relevant term, an LSI term. Like those are all entities to me. Those are all the same thing as far as, like they're semantically different, I guess, if you want to start talking SEO strategy. But at the end of the day, the thing is a thing, and we're trying to be relevant for the thing with other things.
I love the layman's term. So
well, I'm tired of
SEO
overcomplicating this shit.
Down to layman's terms. I love it.
Look, you got a house, there's doors, windows, roof, okay? Like, now, if you want to be like, oh, landscaping, okay, bush, okay, grass, dirt, like, okay, no, now you're getting further away from house. I'm sorry. Farm? No, now you're not on house anymore. Now you went from house to grass to dirt to farm. And that's not a house. That's a whole different thing than house. So, yeah, we could sit here, argue LSI, related terms, entities. It's all the same shit. It's a thing, and you got other things, and the things are like other things because they have properties of other things. That's how it is.
That's how you do SEO, folks.
That's how you do SEO, folks. Go on. Go optimize your things for things. And stop overcomplicating
it. I love it.
It's true though. Honestly, that's just the way I struggle with these terms. Like, even authority. It's a term now that I use still, but I don't like it. Like, authority. What does that mean? It's.
Well, a lot of those terms can be defined, though, right? So, like, authority can be defined.
Yeah, but not if you're in SEO. Trust me. Ask 5 SEOs what authority means or what LSI means, and then you'll find out how many definitions you can get.
From, like, a data perspective, authority can be measured and defined, right?
Oh, yeah, but not in SEO. It can be defined by what you observe with rankings, but it can't be defined by a metric. There's no authority metric in Google.
Authority 36.
No.
There's. Yeah.
But then again, any metric that you're relating to that is a made up metric, anyways, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's my thing. Is everything in SEO is essentially this made up metric or made up term. There's really no definition for SEO.
Like a true sensitive definition. Like this is like the hard.
Yeah, like this is how you do SEO, or this is there's a definition of, like, I guess a hyperlink or an anchor text, the technical side, right? Canonical, right. Those are defined. But yeah, when you start saying relevance or like relevant to what? You can be relevant to anything. If you're relevant to your keyword, Okay, so but then you say, is that an LSI? Is that a related term? Like they're all the same thing then. Like you're using terms to say arbitrary things in the SEO world. They have meaning, but like, and that's why I think a lot of SEOs just overcomplicate things for the industry. Like it's not that
Everybody
complicated.
needs their everyone needs their term that they coined and that they use, and
Yep, I've been down that route. I remember doing that one.
that's how you know when someone doesn't know what they're talking about is they start using all these words, and I'm just like, you're not using it in the right context.
I just said, yeah, I did that once, and Sophie's like, yeah, that's how you know you didn't know what the hell you were talking about then, because you were making up shit.
No, if you had a term and someone was using your term, like if I heard you talk about your new coined term and then I'm using it in a way that you're not talking about.
Yeah, that's where like domain
Everybody
authority
chooses
stacking.
their own terms and defines them based on whatever they want it to be.
I read
That's
something
what
and
she's
I'm
saying.
like, I've done this for 8 years and I don't know what this is. How do I not know? Oh, actually it's this, and it used to be called this, but now we need to make a new name.
Yeah, which is also why like I still call it Google My Business. I heard someone the other day that was like, it's Google Business Profile, call it that because you sound stupid. And I'm like, no, I sound like I've been around this industry and I don't give a fuck what Google wants to call their damn thing. Because they're going to change it again and again, like Webmasters, Search Console, Analytics, they're all going to change.
I heard a new
don't
term
care.
for white label today.
What?
And they called it service arbitrage. And I was like, what? Like, that's the most ecom term I've ever heard for white label.
Okay, that is like a good description of what white labeling is, though.
No.
I don't think I would call it that.
No, Alex. No, Sophie. No.
Laying down the law.
If I buy a product and you give me money and I just mark up that product and then give you that product and take no accountability for that product, what it delivers to you, how it performs, I provide no support, nothing, you are not white labeling. You are just reselling something. And that's the difference between white label and arbitrage. Putting your name on a product takes responsibility for that product as a company. Arbitrage, no. Like you can say, like what Alex said though, arbitrage in like the e-com sense, again, you're putting your brand on it. You're more so white labeling the product.
Yeah,
but
okay. I'm thinking from
arbitrage, just getting something more expensive and then selling or less and then selling it for more and walking away with the money. That is, I do not like people who do. I understand people do that in our industry, and I respect that because that's a very important step to growing. But if you're doing that with the intent that you don't need to understand what you're selling or why you're selling it, or like you don't need to learn SEO, but you should take responsibility for that product. So I never want to hear that term again, Alex. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a bad term,
which term?
I definitely don't
the
think
service arbitrage.
Service arbitrage.
Where did you see that?
That I don't know. It was some YouTube guru that was trying to coin their own
I'm not
term.
gonna lie. So service arbitrage, as much as it's a new term, it is strictly defined by their actual definitions. Like you're arbitraging a service. So yeah, it's kind of made up, but like it's different than domain authority stacking or bioentity stacking. No offense to Web20. But and it literally says on our bioentity stack page .das for domain authority stacking, because we got to make sure we have the giant list of everything it's been called in the industry before. Like we should just call it
the topical relevance, right?
Get our Google News websites, our PBNs, our authority network. Just put the whole list. But yes, they're all PBNs, people. Sorry, hate to break it to you. I tried changing the PBN name once. Didn't work.
So okay, what was the coin term that you came up for PBN?
I'm honestly trying to think of it right after I said that, Alex.
You knew I was going to ask.
I did, yeah, and I'm struggling. And the more I think about it, the more I almost don't want to remember because it was so stupid.
Aren't all the coin terms stupid?
Uh, no, some people are good at branding things. I am not, Alex. I have come up with one
Okay,
good
what's a
brand
good
name, I
domain
think, in my
term that
life.
you can think of, Mike?
Yeah, what's your
Well,
best brand
honestly,
term?
Like, what's a good one?
domain authority stacking wasn't a bad one. That's very marketable, especially at the time because organic SEO was much bigger then. So
And
building
domain authority
authority,
was big. I mean, it still is.
well, I mean, authority communicated just you were the authority, and the domain is the most relevant part of organic SEO. Like the URL that ranks at the top, whether it's an inner page or the home page. So domain authority stacking was a good term. Um, Private blog
So
network, no, that was not a good
Pete,
term. That was just a necessary term, I think. But I'm trying to think of entity stacking. I hate that one. I almost hate anything with the word entity in it because it's combined with something like you have to define both entity and the term you're putting it with for it to make sense, like to understand what you're talking about. But since like entity stacking, if I don't know, if I can't define entity, entity is too abstract and
well,
stacking
different
is too
people stack
abstract.
stuff differently, and so stacking is a very loose term, as is entity, because
hmm
people define both of those differently. So I can agree with that.
So, and maybe
Not a
entity
universal term.
authority stacking. So if you're stacking the authority of entities, but still entity then isn't defined enough. Like, what's the entity? Like, I know what the domain is in domain authority stacking. What's the entity in entity
maybe
authority
those
stacking?
terms are so broad because there's so many different applications and different types of businesses. Like, if you define something too narrowly, then it's not going to apply to everyone.
No,
People
because
try to cast a wide net so it applies to as many people as
yeah, but
possible.
domain authority stacking is just
Is Mike's
interlinking
favorite term.
properties. It's outbound linking properties. I mean, all you're doing is backlinking and cross-linking properties. You have 5 properties, and you will randomly or strategically link them to a point and link them to each other.
Now,
That's it.
back in
That's
my
domain
day, we
authority
called those
stacking.
link wheels, Mike.
Well, no, only if it connected all the way around and then each one pointed directly to the source. Domain authority stacking is broken link wheel. It goes like halfway,
Right,
then it'll
but
go here, then
it's
it'll
still a
go
link
back
wheel.
out
It's just not a
here.
complete. Yeah.
No, because a link
Yeah.
wheel is a wheel. It looks like a wheel, Alex.
Mm,
See, this is where terms are important. Don't go making up terms and then changing the definitions. A link wheel is a link strategy that represents a wheel when laid flat on a sheet of paper. There is no other way to do it, Alex. I am dying on this hill. I'm tired of people
Okay,
making
so
up names and then
do,
changing their
do,
meaning.
domain authority stacking is then what, a link triangle?
No, it's a it's
It's a broken link wheel.
it's a multiple broken link wheel. Because a broken link wheel, Alex, is just one incomplete link wheel. And it's one linking to the next, to the next, to the
Why
next,
are we
and the
trying
last
to
one doesn't
define these
link.
made-up terms, Mike?
Bro, these aren't made up, Sophie. These are
This
terms
is
from
so
like over a
entertaining. That's
decade
why.
ago.
They are terms,
Link,
but I'm just saying the
because
terms
here's
that
the
people are
thing. Here's what
saying.
I'm saying. So a link wheel, when you lay it flat on a sheet of paper and you look
This
at
is
it, it
what
looks like a
happens when you
wheel.
get Mike into a tunnel.
I
It
know.
looks like a wheel.
I love it. It's great.
The name makes sense because it looks like a wheel. I'm
Yeah,
dying on this hill. I told you.
So
for a
if
single wheel, I
the
don't
shape
disagree.
relates to the term and the structure, then that
If you
term
can
is
define the term by anything that is definable, that's what it needs to do. If you could define the term by anything definable, yes, and I'm going to do the same thing I'm saying that these people shouldn't be doing by saying something that can't be defined by defining it with the definition. Yeah,
Of define. Yeah.
exactly. And this is why I'm bad at communication and language, all
it
right?
makes sense in your brain. That's all that matters.
I know, and honestly, it's what makes me a good SEO. It's what makes me a good SEO because I will dig into things that people don't like. They don't. I'll dig into the entity argument until I've gone from house to farm, and I'm sitting here asking myself, how did I turn a house into a farm, and what's wrong with that? Like, why isn't a farm a house? Why isn't a farm an LSI term of a house if I can connect them that way? And when you start looking at the SERPs and
Then
interlinking
you
and other
throw
sites,
ranch in there, and it all goes
But
to
couldn't
shit.
a farm be an LSI term depending on what type of house it is?
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
like a
because you could
ranch.
have a ranch house and then a farm. So if you have a blog about houses, you might have stuff about a farm. But if you're writing a post about houses, you might not be talking about a farm.
Well,
So,
it's
and
how deep
again,
are
that's
you gonna
where
go?
this is where my brain goes crazy and why I can't have these conversations, Sophie. And it's also why it makes me a good SEO, because I will sit here and obsess and rabbit hole on, do I need to talk about farms on my house website and
Yes,
why?
because a hobby farm, by definition in real estate, is a house.
Well, you know what, Alex? You just
A
assumed
hobby
that.
farm is a house.
I'm gonna go spend 5
That's a
hours
5 or 10
Googling.
acre house.
I'm gonna go spend 5 hours Googling farm keywords and house keywords and related keywords and see
Okay,
if I can
Mike, let
find
me throw a
any
wrench in the
related
house.
site.
Let me throw a wrench in
I'm
this
holding you to
farmhouse
that, Mike. I
argument.
want to see the list.
Do you know that RVs are also classified as homes, and you get a mortgage, you don't get
A
an
mobile
auto
home.
loan. So how
Mobile
no,
home.
like a drivable RV, not a mobile
Well,
home.
yeah, but some people refer to them as mobile homes, even though they're not the mobile homes. I've heard people, but yeah, that's the thing. So that doesn't throw a wrench in anything. That sounds
I-
relevant to me. But again, I would still have to go look at it, because if I Google RV and I see I can't find housing relevant content for housing blogs about RVs, and they're all RV sites, then maybe I need to stay more focused on the housing aspect of mobile housing or housing that can be transported or moved or relocated. And maybe RVs are a part of that, but I might not need a full post on RVs. That might be outside of what Google's actually looking for to be the authority on houses. But again, you're not going to know that unless you start Googling all of
into
them.
the mix. Because
Yeah.
RVs, as Sophie's definition, are in a lot of ways considered a tiny home, in which case would fall into homes.
But you could just
Considered
talk
homes
about
once
tiny
again.
homes. Yeah, but so you might not have a blog post about RVs though. You might have a blog post about tiny homes or mobile homes or small homes.
With RV
But
being
if you
an
have
LSI,
an
yeah.
automobile blog, you probably will want RV. You're not going to want a tiny home blog post on your automobile blog. You're going to want to say RV or even mobile home, the things that are in
Covered
line
under
with
home
automobile
insurance,
instead of house. Yes. So
because it's under
again,
wheels, right?
like I said, Sophie, I will go for hours. This is why I argue semantics all
I
the
feel
time,
like I'm
probably, because I am an
enabling drug
SEO.
use or something. I'm further feeding into his dark hole.
I drive myself insane dissecting these things. So
I mean, but by dissecting those things, you're exploring the relations between them and the context in which those relations matter, because all those different contexts you're describing are different. And so the relevance is different.
And then seeing what Google's rewarding based on that context. And so that's huge.
That's the most important thing, is that it doesn't matter if it's relevant or not, or if it even makes sense. Like, you could be like, it's an automobile blog. RV, we should be talking about RVs, but you might do some in-depth research and find out no automobile websites are talking about RVs, and the ones that are talking about RVs are ranking for RV terms and like travel terms and stuff, but they're not ranking for mobile automobile terms and stuff like that. So again, at the end of the day,
mobile automobile.
You know what, Alex? I'm not going to let you throw me off of what I'm trying to say here. All right?
I'm all about these rabbit holes.
Oh, trust me, I love a good rabbit hole. That's why me and Mark will go for like 5 hours on anything. Just let us run with an idea.
I love it.
All right, so I think we got to call it a day. I'm about running out of time. We got some more tests coming up. We might be doing an update this weekend on the tests we were talking about earlier. If not, we have been doing some in-depth looks at previous tests and dissecting them a little more. So go back and check out the previous weeks.
And your
Sophie,
videos. You didn't mention your video recaps.
Oh yeah, so I mean that's what I meant, is I'm actually going back and doing video recaps of old tests and new tests. We're going to be doing final video recaps after we complete the test, where we do like a full deep dive into the individual terms, really break down all the things we saw and try to draw conclusions we can and not draw any conclusions that we can, which is also important. So, Sophie, Alex, thank you so much for coming on, having a great time talking SEO. Yes, and be sure to like, subscribe. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Download us, take us in your pocket. Listen to all the previous episodes. Join us next week, and until then, bye. See you later.
Bye.
Have fun. Bye.